Well, let's start the interview off with, can you just give us a 2-minute summary of who you are and what your career kind of entails? Just a quick summary for somebody who's never watched wrestling before so they know who the manager of champions, Bill Alfonso, is.
Okay. Can you give me a countdown?
3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Bill Alfonso, the manager of champions. Bill's going to give us a quick summary of his career, and we're going to go into some details about all the interesting aspects of professional wrestling.
As Andrew said, I'm going to summarize it pretty quick. He's going to ask me a lot of questions. And if you don't know what sports entertainment is, all you got to say is, I work with Hulk Hogan. Then you can summarize it yourself, what I do for a living. Pretty much that's the whole ball of wax. But I was a referee for 15 years, worked for multi-companies all over the country, worked for actually I started off when in the 80s, my first full-time job, and in the 80s there were territories. So the state of Florida would be a territory, the Carolinas would be a territory, Mid-Atlantic, Texas would be a territory, the Von Erichs and the Funks, Oregon would be a territory, and so on. So I started off in Florida, then it moved up the chain progressively to Ted Turner, the Superstation, Channel 17. And I worked for Jim Crockett, who ran WCW, and then Turner bought it, and I worked for Ted Turner. Then I went to Vince McMahon. It's called WWF at the time, and did some WrestleManias as a referee. Then I went from there to a company out of Pennsylvania. The company was actually based out of Scarsdale, New York, but we did most of our work in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and I started off there May of '95, and I was a manager. So kind of switched roles a little bit. Hey Andy, do I have to look into the camera when I'm talking, Daddy?
I think you're fine.
Be myself,
you're fine.
Like Dad Simon Says, or you know, do about Van Dam? Or can I be?
You're perfect in the frame. You're fine. You be Fonzie.
Okay, thank you.
You can just look at me if you want.
Okay, what was that?
You can just look at me if that's easy.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
Tell the story to me and the camera will pick it up.
Beautiful. And if I want to make a point, I'll make the point, right?
Okay. So let's move on to the championship wrestling in Florida that you started off. Was that your first gig as a referee? Like, let's go back to who trained you. The early.
No, the first gig I got. Actually, my father. I was about 12, 13 years old. My father knew Frank Klein, who was sports editor for the Tampa Tribune. Mm-hmm. And Tuesday nights was wrestling in Tampa. Every Tuesday nights at the Armory. Eddie Graham was the owner. They would have matches. I didn't know anything about this. So my dad had lunch with Frank Klein, who wrote the results of the matches from Tuesday night on Wednesday, because Florida Championship Wrestling with Gordon Soley put a little ad in the paper Monday night, Tuesday night. The matches were Jack Briscoe against Dory Funk, so on and so on. So they gave 2 comp tickets to Frank Klein.
Right.
My dad had lunch with him. He said, "Hey Steve, you have a couple of kids, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I got 2 tickets to wrestling." Oh, my dad said, "Oh, thanks, Frank." So my dad came home and said, "Hey Billy, I have 2 tickets to pro wrestling on Tuesday nights. Frank Klein gave them to me. You remember Mr. Klein?" I said, "Oh yeah, he's the newspaper guy." I was 12, 13. So I didn't really know anything about wrestling at all. Didn't watch it on TV, wasn't introduced to it, nothing. So I said, "Okay, Dad, thanks, but no thanks. I don't eat wrestling. What the hell is that?" So they sat on the fireplace panel for, this was like on a Friday. So they sat there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So now I'm getting a little curious. Wrestling, what is that?
Yeah.
So by Tuesday I said, "Okay, I'll go." So I took one of my buddies. First night, Tuesday night, was the Great Malenko versus Eddie Graham in a wrestling chain match. The blonde hair, I fell in love with it. I said, "Oh my God, this is what I want to do for a living." You know?
You were in love at that point?
First day I was hooked.
Okay.
Loved it. I'll never see, Bobby Shane was there, who got killed in an airplane crash. It was Bobby Shane, Gary Hart, Austin Idol, Mike McCord at the time, and you know the last guy?
Flair?
No, Flair was in Charlotte. No, it was, he had a thumb gimmick. I had blonde hair, I'll tell you his name. He was a commentator and two.
You're saying was on the plane?
Yeah, he was on the plane, four guys.
Crash, right,
Unfortunately, Bobby Shane was pinned in the plane.
Right.
The other guy swam to shore. It was a miracle that they all made it. They all mangled up. And Bobby died. But Bobby Shane was there my first night, and he had a valet with him. And there wasn't too many valets in the business at that point. This was 1975 or something.
Right.
I'll give you the year. I had this thing when I was 12 years old, which wasn't that long ago. and so I got hooked. I loved it. So, oh my God. So I said, please go have lunch with Frank Klein and give me the free tickets.
Yeah, let's get
it's only $3 to get in anyway back then. If you didn't see Frank, he would give me the $3. You okay?
Yep.
Okay. If he didn't see Frank Klein, he would give me the $3, or I would cut the grass and get my wrestling ticket. I wasn't going to miss Tuesday night.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought this was the greatest thing. I didn't know they traveled Monday on West Palm, Tampa, Tuesday, Wednesday, Miami, Thursday, Jacksonville, Friday, a spot show, Saturday, another spot show, Sunday, Orlando, rotated 365 days a year. I didn't know any of this.
Right.
But these were my idols. And I wanted to be a wrestler. But I grew up to be $165. Actually, I'm 159 right now.
Yeah.
So there's no way I could compete. Even though I tried to gain weight, and I got a muscle builder fitness thing, and you know, I went up to 168 pounds. That was it.
Yeah.
So there's no way I could compete in there. But I became friends after years of going. And by the way, I'm not the only guy that was sitting there watching wrestling. Hulk Hogan was doing the same thing I was doing, but his father didn't get him tickets for Frank Klein, but he used to go on Tuesday nights, and all the cool guys would stand up against his wall and not sit down and be, you know.
Yeah.
And Hulk Hogan, I didn't know him.
One of the cool kids.
At the time. Yeah, he was a tall, skinny kid. He wasn't, you know, Hulkamania daddy. Like he's a,
it didn't hit the
Hulk
biceps
Hogan's the most recognized face in the world in wrestling.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
There's nobody, Ric Flair, no.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Andre would probably be close.
Close second.
Okay. Well, let's wrap this up. The next segment we're going to go on to is asking you what were the first things you did to break in, and maybe telling us a little bit about the development into kayfabe.
I was just getting ready to jump into that.